Hey guys, Shadow here, and today, filling in for the Let's Play part that's supposed to come up today, which will restart tomorrow, next week with Sonic 4, Episode 2 mostly. Today I decided I'd do a little review of NXT Takeover Dallas, basically just an unscripted, what I thought of each match, what I found was alright, what I liked, what I didn't like, mostly, what I would grade each match. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about the two dark matches that were there, which was Manny Andrade and Christopher Girard match, and a match between Apollo Crews and Elias Sampson. Instead, I will be talking about the 5 matches that actually aired on TakeOver Dallas, in order. Now, I was excited for TakeOver Dallas, probably for 2 reasons. One, mostly because NXT TakeOver London was just awesome to watch, and I wanted to see how they could top it. Second off, Shinsuke Nakamura. That is all. But I'll get into Nakamura later. Now, basically, first off, we'll talk about American Alpha versus the Revival. Now, that match was very good. It basically cemented the American Alpha as the future of NXT Tag Team. And obviously, the Revival were great as well. They're just great heels, like doing incredibly, really dastardly stuff that can really make other people that would really give a visceral heat on them. However, I feel it was the right decision to give American Alpha the tag team, because while tag team champions, while people like Enzo and Cass, people like American Alpha a lot more now. I can hear that American Alpha gets louder reactions than Enzo and Cass. Just a little bit more, not much. And the way it ended with the double suplex was really awesome as well. So yeah, basically the results of that one was American Alpha defeat Revival to become the tag team champions, which I'm sure I'm expecting a rematch between those two teams later on down the line. Next up, it was Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin. This was another match I was quite anticipating for, because I remember a few years ago I used to be a fan of TNA, and I remembered Austin Aries. He was a pretty cool, fun wrestler to watch, to be honest. However, personally, this match was just a little disappointing. Now, hold on. I know. This match wasn't awful. I just want you to know that. Disappointing doesn't mean awful. This match was still very, very, very good. Just my issue with it was it could have gone on a little bit better than what it was. Let's note some of the big matches here. So, obviously, the tag team match was 15 minutes. One match was also 15 minutes. The main event was 16. One match was 20. This was 11. Most of that was just Baron Corbin beating on Austin Aries, and Austin getting a few short hits in, but then being pretty much destroyed by him. But the awkward thing is, Austin won via a roll-up, but we still don't know what his finishes are going to be in NXT. We don't know if he's going to we have absolutely no idea if his finish is going to still be the 450 splash or the triangle chokehold. We don't know what it's going to be honest, because we haven't seen any of them yet. But that match was won. Austin Aries defeated Baron Corbin, and like I said before, that's the right choice to make. Next up, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Oh boy. Have you ever had an experience before where you were a wrestling fan and you decided that you wanted to finally, and you finally heard that he was coming to the wrestling show that you watch. However, you've heard of the legends that of this man, Shinsuke Nakamura, but you've never seen him. And then even seeing him enter makes you know that he is a legend of the business. That was my reaction to Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance. He sold me on the fact that he was one of the greatest of all time because of an entrance. That is the power. That is the power of a wrestler to help me be excited over the appearance of one man making his debut. And trust me, the entrance was perfect. It was like artwork. Anyway, just stop looking at talking about the entrance. How was the match itself? Well, it was just as good as the entrance, basically, as I keep talking about. It was a lot of high-flying action. Shinsuke Nakamura really has some really hard, heavy, stiff kicks. Trust me, they are really, really rough and just like really smacking right in. And basically, for a few times he did try to go for the Bomaye knee, which is now known as a Kinshasa. However, he did finish. He did finish that before, but however, it was more like a dropkick variant of the Bomaye. However, probably one of the best spots of the night was Sami Zayn's traditional run through the ropes and DDT. Most people would usually stand there and just be like, "Oh, what's to do?" and then just get DDT'd. Shinsuke it looked like that was going to happen, but instead he kind of decided to interrupt with a swift kick to the face. Quite frankly, I'm surprised he did. Frankly, if this was real, there would have been blood all over the ring from how many times he's just been booted in the head. But I think it was accurate for Shinsuke to win, because let's face it, this is basically the equivalent of the new upcoming king of NXT and the biggest representative of NXT itself, having the torch passed over to him by what's been formerly known as the former face of NXT. Sami Zayn was the one that basically brought NXT back to its point. And since most likely tomorrow he will be capturing the Intercontinental Championship, it's for the better for him to actually take a loss to Shinsuke. Now, Asuka versus Bayley was also a very, very good match too. Now, obviously, you're going to have a tough job trying to move over and try and it's going to be a tough job to try and follow up to Shinsuke versus Sami. But they did it. They did it really well, and they didn't necessarily screw it up either. So basically, this match was still quite good. It had similar high-flying spots. And quite heavy action as well. Interesting moments. Asuka's kicks, I'd say, are just as stiff, if anything, as Shinsuke's kicks in a way, because they look really hard hitting and painful. I mean, obviously Bayley fought like a champion too, and really pushed to make sure that she she isn't like that she doesn't lose this match against anybody else. However, what's especially better is the ending of the match. Basically, everybody going into this would know that Asuka was going to defeat Bayley, considering this was around NXT. So this is around WrestleMania time. Bayley was challenging Asuka, who was basically becoming one of the most popular NXT women of all time. But they didn't know. But it was still a shock to see Bayley lose the title that she held for 200 days. It was still just really shocking to see. Now, obviously, due to the fact that recent news about NXT, obviously with the standard NXT superstars basically moving over to the main roster, and obviously with already the women's division being brought into the WWE and replacing the Divas division, I'm essentially positive that this is going to be a sign for Bayley's debut and her pursuing the WWE Women's Championship. But still, and it was a fantastic match. Anyway, and we move on to the final match: Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. The ending to the match wasn't good, basically. It wasn't amazing. There could have been better choices for how it ended, but, it could have been worse at the same time. It was still a very, very good match. Like, the start of the match, like, not even 2 seconds in, and there was already blood. Like, I think, if I remember correctly, what happened, Finn managed to catch Joe in the eye with a headbutt, and that basically busted him open, and he looked bloody terrifying with that. Trust me, that was cool to see. And the fans loved it too. And obviously there was that really painful, moment where Joe threw Finn into the ring post with him taking out a security guard in the process. It was quite a fun spot as well. The obvious choice on the obvious decision and finale was Finn Balor beating Samoa Joe, which necessarily wasn't exactly my prediction, because I was calling for Joe to have a major victory over Finn, and he would go on a tear as the new NXT champion, and Finn would move over to the main roster with after WrestleMania with Doc Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson when they debut on Raw next week. And yeah, basically that was basically just my quick thoughts on NXT Takeover Dallas. Now I'm gonna give these matches a rating. I'm just gonna rate each match what I think of it, and then give a quick summary of what I thought of it. So, American Alpha versus the Revival for the titles. I would say I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was good. It was all right. It was quite a high-flying, action-y sort of match. But it was a very good way to start off the show. Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin. It's kind of tough to decide what I would rate this, because it wasn't bad, but my expectations for this were way higher than it was. So for that, I'm going to have to give it a 6. Yeah, I'll give it a 6, because it could have gone on much better. They could have been equal offense. Corbin could have dominated for a little bit, but then it goes into an even levels afterwards, and then we see Austin's finish. We saw Austin's NXT finisher, and then that's the end of the match. But it basically felt like Aries was jobbing. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, 10 out of 10. I'm not even joking. This was probably a masterpiece of a match, and it is match of the year, if not match of the century at the moment. Like, everything about this match was just flawless. Like, the crowd reaction was amazing. The entrances really just left you heart-stopping action. Everything was just perfect about that. Asuka vs. Bayley. I'm not sure what I would rate that. I'd say most likely 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'll give it 8. Because, I mean, it had a tough act to follow with Shinsuke versus Sami, which is probably, again, the match of the year. But basically, this was a really good match, and this goes to show now that Asuka will basically be a huge dominant force as the top woman of NXT now. And Finn versus Samoa Joe, 8.5. I'll give that an 8.5. I mean, it wasn't, for me, it was just that little bit better than their meeting at NXT Takeover London. Like, everything. It was a really equal match, and we even got to see basically a side of Balor that we rarely see, which is like proper full-on, like, psychotic demon mode, which is really cool to see. And basically this whole show was just perfection, and I'd recommend you all go and watch it now on the WWE Network for $9.99. Obviously they've got a free subscription. They've got a free subscription for the WrestleMania season going on at the moment. So make sure you go and do that. How did I forget? There was also some extra moments in the show too that all of us didn't really expect. Some of which, obviously, we saw so many different faces in the crowd, like good old JR, Jim Ross, Scott Hall, and X-Pac. But I don't remember what his name was, but there was a Japanese wrestler that kind of got the crowd on a bit of a reaction. But also in the crowd, Bobby Roode. Like, that Bobby Roode. Like, the same Bobby Roode that was fired, basically, from TNA a while ago. I haven't heard a reaction so loud in my entire life. It was awesome. And a couple of times I was expecting some swerves and heel turns as well, but that never happened, really. It's NXT's a more pure style. You wouldn't really see that on that show. You'd see it more on the main show. Anyway, that's all I got to think of NXT Takeover Dallas. It was one of the best wrestling products I have ever seen in my entire life, and it's just amazing. Basically, it was just such an awesome show, and I would recommend every single person watch that right now. Go to the network. Go into the network. Go and get your free trial subscription and watch it. Believe me, you would not regret a single word of it. Go. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little review. Sonic 4 Episode 2 will begin next week, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.